Wednesday night, and welcome to another Undressed podcast. Hello, I'm Jeremy Taylor, and welcome to the Wednesday Night Undressed, the podcast that reaches into the wobbly places other podcasts dare and venture. Yes, filmed in front of a live, active, listening audience who happen to be naked. Join the panel for a thrilling threnody of rumbustical debate where the answers are always clear, simple, and straightforward. Yes. We could say that, couldn't we? We have a smaller team tonight. Kathleen, Fernando, Alena, Lewis, Jeremy, and Ivo will be here shortly. And so some interesting questions have come in. One which I really don't understand, but we will start with this because I'm concerned to know the answer to this one so that I can at least look youngish and up to date.
Dream on.
Apparently, the latest craze on the internet is the following question. Are there more wheels or doors in the world? Are there more wheels or doors in the world? And I don't know whether that means doors that open or whether it just means holes in walls.
Well, that is a question, isn't it? Do you count cupboard doors? Those are doors. In which case, there's obviously more doors.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you're counting, even with cupboard doors, I feel like there's more wheels. Like, think of all the Hot Wheels sets.
Well, there's a lot of families who don't have toys around. And maybe one car, or maybe no cars because they don't own it. They still got doors.
Yeah, but think of a place like New Zealand where there are more cars than people.
Train. But hold on, like.
But each car has like 4 doors.
A car by itself has doors.
Yeah.
So it's almost self-cancel, like almost break even.
Yeah.
If you
Count
have
the
a 4-door
cars,
car, it's a match there. But look, just doors on this room here.
Yeah.
The cabinet doors.
So if you go back to Roman
Holy fuck! I had no idea we would actually have a disagreement about this.
Look at the
What,
piano.
did you think there's more wheels in the
No, there can't possibly be more
Yeah,
wheels
there's
than
there's
doors.
more
I
doors.
think it's doors, period.
It's
Yeah.
gotta be
Let's
doors.
bet some money before. I didn't hear about that on the internet.
Nearly for some.
And you do know the biggest maker of wheels in the entire of tires in the entire.
Before they are, I know the answer to that. You know the answer. I wonder if they know the answer.
know the answer.
Yeah,
You
the
can bet.
biggest maker of tires in the world.
I know.
Huh?
Do you know, Alena?
The
Goodyear?
biggest maker of tires.
Yeah. Who makes the most tires
The
in the
Stay
entire world?
Puft Marshmallow Man.
Very nice.
Goodyear, Pirelli.
Nope. Lego.
Lego. Oh.
Lego
know,
makes
right?
more
I don't
tires
know.
than
Yeah, that's what I'm
anybody
saying.
else.
Think of all the
Yeah.
toy sets. Think of all the semi trucks.
How many Lego sets in, like, let's say there is large
don't have any Lego at
populations.
my
There
house.
is, I don't know, I think I don't know,
So-
like the
Now that I have exclaimed with the fervor that I did that there were more doors than wheels, I'm radically rethinking my position.
Why?
All right, so let me tell you. I thought
Because
immediately.
you have a boy child.
No, well, yes. No, I immediately thought that there would have to be more doors because there's been historically more doors. Like, we haven't had wheels even as inventions, specifically like wheel and axle as an invention for long enough to really compare doors to wheels. But wheels are so damn useful that we use them like all the time. Like you guys are talking about like the obvious uses of wheels, like tires and such. What about like fucking Lazy Susan in your microwave? Like,
Oh yeah, it has
Seriously,
No,
you thinking wheels
exactly.
are more useful than doors?
I'm thinking that doors have one function. They separate spaces.
Yeah,
Whereas
which is really vital.
it's not vital. It's not vital at
the
all.
The first thing a person out in the wilderness does is put up a freaking door.
No, they put up a roof.
no shoes.
No,
shoes.
they don't use wheels for
Dude,
it.
nobody ever says it's the best thing since the invention of the door.
Because doors were invented way before any people.
It's good, this question, isn't it?
This is actually pretty
No,
damn good.
but also like in industries, like sometimes you have just rollers, those like mats,
Bingo.
like just in some areas you can.
How
have
many wheels?
Thousands, millions.
How many wheels?
wheels
How
on the
many?
bus
Yeah,
go
no.
round and
Don't
round,
take the
round
piss.
and round,
Don't take the
round
piss.
and round.
How many wheels are on your car?
Well,
Don't know, have never stopped to add them up. I know just from the beginning, like I've got more wheels than the wheels that touch the road.
exactly.
So
Exactement.
uh,
No.
Bearings.
Well, there's the spare.
No,
You've
but
got,
the
you've got
bearings,
four
there
wheels
is
on
way
the
more.
road,
Gears.
spare, steering wheel,
Mhm.
right? And then you've got an engine. Then you've got an engine and gearbox.
That's a wheel.
No, like-
it's a million wheels.
Each bearing system, like even
That's
on
a
even the door, like
Yeah.
mechanism, sometimes you might have some
So
tiny
it
wheels there.
No,
entirely
quite
depends
honestly,
on the definition of
what-
what doors you use and what your wheel is.
what really like I immediately changed from like there's obviously more doors to holy shit, I think there's more wheels. Is I'm thinking about the conveyor rolls that
belts.
Fernando was just talking about. Like, you know, when you go into Krispy Kreme and they're making the donuts and the donuts are rolling across on all those wheels as they get there. I said,
But there is
Which
also
are
there are
wheels.
a lot of wheels inside.
Axle and the roller.
We got
Definition, yeah.
Our engineer, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is having major problems, mechanical
Saying
problems.
rollers are not wheels, and he's right.
Like in the fans,
unless they
like
have axles.
each fan has also wheels inside, and inside each.
He's not buying that. Yeah.
Is the engineer saying that, in fact,
Gears?
for technical reasons, we're not able to do this?
We have to define it.
Now I have
Define
to
wheels, define doors.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
that I.
Socratic.
Even my
I
mailbox
don't know if
has
I
a
can
door.
tell
It
you
doesn't
what
have
a
any
wheel
wheels.
is, but I can tell you what a wheel does. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
So
round
how
and
many
A
wheels
wheel
has
is
a
a
bus
circular
got?
thing with an axle. A wheel is a circular thing with an axle that spins.
Yeah, it's not a sphere; it's a wheel. A wheel is a wheel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a circular thing with an axle that spins, and a door is something
I
that
will expand on that. It's a cylindrical thing with that has an axle
Yeah,
going in
that
through the middle
works.
of it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And do you not have doors into like cardboard boxes? The door is the top.
No, that's a flap.
That's yeah.
Well, it's a door to the inside of it. And think of all the
Only
dollhouses and
if
all
it's
the
the
little doors
only
in there.
Way to get inside it.
And
like-
all the little doors and all the little toy cars that you've been thinking about.
There's also doors in our minds. I learned
There's
all
also
this
a
infinite
band.
number of doors in our minds. Ah,
So
right.
yeah, as of right now, I'm firmly convinced that there are more wheels than doors.
Turntables.
Uh-huh.
Do we had a musical group called the Doors? Do we have one called the Wheels? I rest
I
my
don't believe
case.
so.
That's my band now.
I just started a band called Wheels. Thank you.
Evo, stop communicating with wherever it is you're communicating and answer the question.
What is the question?
More wheels or doors?
The latest
Are
craze
we being
on the
recorded?
internet.
Oh,
Are there
Really?
more
It's on.
wheels? Are there more wheels or doors in the world? Are there more wheels or doors in the world?
who came up with this bizarre fucking? I mean, what is
I thought
the
it was
most random?
And I actually
Well-
counted the doors in the house, and then I thought, well, what about the kitchen
many?
cabinets? So I gave up. There were 40 actual human-sized doors that you can walk through. 40, just in the house, and that's not
You
counting
have
the
40
shed and the
doors?
garage.
Wheels
Yeah,
are.
3.
I feel like
mean,
wheels are more.
You got to think about. There's a garage, 2 garage doors,
Oh,
and one door to the
okay,
outside,
yeah.
and one door from the garage inside, and
Yeah.
one door into the pantry, and one door into the closet in there, and then one door from the add that door into the kitchen, and then one door from the kitchen out to the porch, and then 2 doors from the porch out to the deck, and French doors and front doors and basement doors and upstairs. Every closet has at least
Yeah.
1 door, maybe
Yeah.
2 if it's sliding.
The,
There's a
but does,
lot of doors in the freaking house.
does cogwheels count?
See, that's what we're asking.
So
You're right.
I would actually say that cogwheels do not count. I would say for something to be a
It's
wheel.
got a wheel on it. It's a wheel.
No. It's round, but that's not the defining characteristic of a wheel. A wheel spins around an axle. So if it spins around an axle, then it's technically a wheel. So like when you say gearbox, yes. When you say steering wheel, no.
Why is it called a steering wheel?
Because
Because
people
it's-
are idiots. We know that.
The wheels.
Uh-huh.
This is a good moment to say goodbye to our last listener. Farewell. I'm sure you've
The same to you.
enjoyed.
Do we have a name for this listener, by the way? What is his name?
I don't know.
No, it's
Well,
not.
no. Susan's definitely not
Susan
listening.
never listens to
No,
us.
she hates this
God,
podcast.
no.
Yeah, I'm actually like wondering what other hidden wheels do we have? Because like the first thing that comes to mind is actually a Lazy Susan for me. Like that was like, holy crap, we've got wheels all over the damn place.
Perhaps
Can I
even
count
on
a
a
record?
doorknob, depend on the mechanism you can have as well. You can have records, skateboards.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
No,
it's a
but
crazy.
there are wheels on a skateboard. I
It's
don't
a-
think a record is a wheel.
It doesn't
Yes.
really. It kind of has. It just, I guess it's not an axis, right? Or axle.
An axle,
And
the
it's
the
got-
The
spindle.
record player.
Yeah, it's got
has
the
a wheel.
little.
The record player has a wheel.
More than
That's
one.
a
Yes,
wheel.
at least one.
More than
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they would probably have two. or
Ferris
three.
wheels count and merry-go-rounds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
That's a
feel
lot.
like maybe wheels are more than doors.
I'm saying with the
Each
toy
one
sets,
of the Ferris wheels compartments has doors on it.
one toy set has way more than 40 wheels in it.
So let's say there's a house, and in the house there's what, 10 doors maybe? But
Mine
how
has 40.
40 doors, but how many wheels
And
are in the
I'm not
house?
even counting the doors on the
cabinets.
cars.
But an apartment has, oh yeah, because cabinets.
Cabinets.
Mhm. And so,
Yeah.
Wardrobes.
I'm not even counting the cabinets.
Closets, rather.
I gave up at that point.
This question stretches through time because you were saying that you
Through the wheel
I was
of time.
thinking just now,
Uh-huh.
but you were saying because throughout history the wheel is a newer invention. So this is an all-encompassing question. Like
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, because I really did think about it. Like there must have, like my first thought was there must have been more doors, based largely on what you just said, Kath. There must have been more doors created than there have been wheels. But we typically don't create wheels in the singular. Like we almost always, whenever we create a wheel, are creating multiples. We can make a,
Not if you're making unicycles. Nah.
yeah, but that's so like we're always making multiples of wheels, but for until
But even on a unicycle, how many wheels are there?
I haven't
that's true.
counted
They
a
have to pedal.
unicycle. Yeah, you're getting all technical now.
Yeah.
There's two wheels, aren't there?
I don't know. You tell me. How many wheels are there?
Well, there's the one with the rubber tread on it,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you'll have another wheel, which is the cog, which drives your chain with the pedals on the
You don't
side
have
of
a
it.
chain on a unicycle.
Well, yeah, you do.
Okay, maybe you do.
Perhaps on one of the cheapy ones, but on a decent one, it has pedals and a chain.
I think you're making shit up.
That's a direct drive.
Mhm.
Here's a question: do you consider coins wheels?
No,
No,
they don't
because
have
they're
an
not
axle.
on an axle, are they?
if you poked a hole in like a quarter and put it on.
You can make
It's
a wheel
actually
with a
legal.
coin, but the coin is not a
Bingo!
wheel.
I like the way you said that. You can
can
make
make
a
them.
yeah.
Wheel with a coin, multiple coins.
Mm-hmm.
Like
okay.
a skateboard
You
has
can
12.
roll.
Then that would be defacing.
Yeah, but you can roll a log.
Currency.
A log isn't a wheel.
That would be defacing U.S. currency, so you're not supposed to do that.
I see
That's
what you're
illegal.
saying.
Right.
Yeah, just
So
because
maybe doors. There's more doors. Yeah, I mean,
I'm really worried about this question. Not.
yeah. This is like, I mean, there's a war in Europe.
Which
I
reminds
bet you
me,
somebody there's talking about wheels and doors. Can't talk.
No, nobody's talking about wheels
I
and
think it's not possible
doors.
to reach a solid number on that. Whoever come up with the result, I mean, think
Uh-huh.
about it. It's too complex.
It is. You have to decide what you're counting and what you're not counting.
Yeah.
So that was we
is a
decided
round stone a wheel? Round.
if it's got a hole in the middle and there's a stick going through it,
Oh.
But what
yes,
if it's a stone?
But around
that
to
you can
it.
put something on it and roll.
that's a roller.
around
That's
to
not a
it
wheel.
is not a wheel.
So
Oh, God.
yeah, so Jim Morrison wins over Mick Jagger because he's got the doors and Mick Jagger's got Rolling Stones.
Exactly. Yeah, those aren't wheels.
No wheels.
Very good, Evo. Very good. Wanted to go back and mention something we said last week, and that is President Zelensky who has now come out of hiding into his presidential palace, addressed again the British Parliament. And he had addressed the European Parliament, then he addressed the British Parliament. And the Brits are all very supportive of Zelensky because he did what we talked about. We, in fact, advised President Zelensky last week when we were here. We said, if you remember, that he could have repeated the things that Churchill said all those years ago
Is he our
about the
listener?
Germans. Yeah, he's actually going to be a sponsor, we hope. Zelensky at some point. Yeah.
At some point.
He says he will. And he actually went on and said that they would fight them in the fields and on the landing grounds and on the beaches, and got a standing ovation again from the British Parliament, which again is just unheard of. Because there's always, it's like any parliament or group of politicians, you always get one who will say, I disagree just for the heck of it. And they all stood up.
He is in his element right now. Nobody delivers a speech better than a professional actor, and Ronald Reagan was incredible at reading speeches written by other people for him. It was incredible. And so is Zelensky, who is a professional actor. He's so much in his element right now. He's really commanding attention. The camera loves him. He's an actor. He's doing a good job.
He's kind of had practice at this, like from his TV show.
Exactly.
Where he
He's an
played
actor.
the president of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to come back to Ukraine a little later on. I'm particularly pleased that Ivo's here because I have an interesting question. Yeah, I have an interesting question which is important that Ivo listens to. Okay, to get the question, and that is Brittany Griner. I think that's how you pronounce her
Yes,
name.
Brittany Griner, yeah.
Has been arrested by the Russian authorities, allegedly for carrying cannabis resin vape or something similar. So if she was, and the Russian laws are very strict, what are the Russians supposed to do about it?
I mean, come on.
No. What are the Russian authorities supposed to do? They catch one of the most famous women basketball players who earns millions of dollars in Russia playing.
Yeah.
Turns up, she's got illegal substances about her person. Allegedly. But let's just say the police
It's
know
very likely, knowing her, yeah.
Yeah. What are the Russians supposed to do? Should they ignore it? Like the tennis players and things like that. In which case, so she gets away with things because she's a famous sports lady. What about what's going on the rest of the world? What do you think the Russian authorities should do?
So, I'm speculating here, but my guess is that this is not the first time that she has carried her vape with a little bit of residue in it through the airport. And Russian athletes are as well known. There's a pot subculture in Russia too. Athletes are known to unwind with marijuana. And Brittany Griner is one of the top, I want to say, 5 basketball players in the world. She's incredibly famous. She's an Olympic champion. And she certainly is a target for the Russian authorities, just like any other American, and especially famous American right now. So, Jeremy, I'm guessing you're asking because you're implying that she should have known better, and I agree. She should have known better right now. The timing of this is just, you got to be clean as a whistle. There's something else. She's a target for many other reasons. The Russian authorities have waged a war on the LGBTQ community for a decade now. Like really, 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 they persecute people. They persecute gay people. They have banned all of the pride parades. They have dragged this country decades backwards, and they're denying that gay people exist. And if they do, Yeah, if they do find them, yeah.
They're imprisoning people.
Yes,
They're
exactly.
and it's not even. It's just somebody says, "Oh, I think." If somebody was like, "Oh, I think Alena's gay," they'll
Yeah.
take you to prison
Exactly.
and do horrible, horrible things. There's a
Like
documentary.
a DeSantis wet dream.
And Brittany Griner she's openly gay, married woman, and a huge flag bearer for the LGBTQ community. And so she's a triple target for the Russians, for the Russian authorities. And just because she is beneficial for a professional team there and is scoring points like crazy, that they don't care about this. And they also hate her because the United States won the Olympics gold with her twice. And, you know, she beats Russians all the time on the basketball court. So my assumption here is that, yes, she's done this many times before and was never sanctioned. And that's muscle memory. She just carries this stuff with her and thinking nothing bad's going to happen. But the truth is, right now is a completely different time. So my point is that she should have known better. I agree with Jeremy, but at the same time, it's clearly unfair and it's politically motivated and it's ugly, just like this horrific situation that's unfolding in this part of the world, and it's part of it. This arrest is part of the conflict.
Yeah.
So
Putin wants hostages.
scapegoats, hostages, yes.
Yeah.
Every way that they conduct their society is part of the conflict, and part of the conflict for the people that live there, and part of the conflict in Ukraine, and everything that has been brewing.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything justifies. Like, I don't think there was anything she could have done. I don't really know much about her in particular, her situation, but I think if they want to imprison someone, it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're in Russia and they want to imprison you, they'll imprison you, and they'll say anything they want to.
It's entirely possible there was nothing there at all, and they're just claiming it, but we don't know.
Even if there was something, it doesn't really mean anything, because either way, if they wanted to target somebody, they were going to target them.
Yeah.
And so,
Ivo covered very well, but I mean, in one hand, like, I wish the media give like half of the coverage overall for, you know, Guantanamo Bay prisoners. Even, you know, how many journalists, reporters like got persecuted and killed in Russia, how much like more a little more broad instead of focus on you know, in a single. Now, if it was planted, who knows? But I mean, there is nothing more to add. You know, it's a autocracy, complex equation there. But
I think it's interesting that with the new laws that they've just brought in Russia, that I think it's the New York Times has pulled their reporter out of Moscow.
Yeah.
For the first time since the First World War, they've not had someone, even through Stalin and Lenin and all the others, they had a reporter there.
Yeah.
But because you could get 12 years or something, so all the broadcast media, I'm talking about external of Russia, have all pulled out because they don't want to be sent to prison.
yep,
And I find it fascinating where the media are interviewing people in Ukraine and saying, but how do we get the message across to the Russian people? And somebody said, well, it's like you've grown up listening to CNN or the BBC and believing them. And they're saying, well, those nasty Ukrainians, they were doing horrible things to Russians. That's why we sent the troops in. And I think it's fascinating how is it going to be a drip thing that people are going to slowly figure out that there's something not awry?
Faster than during the Cold War because of the internet. He's trying to ban social media and stuff, but the internet, the very nature of it is impossible to stop. You know, even in China, there's programs and apps and things that allow information to seep in. And yeah, Putin has gone full Orwellian and trying to really drag the country back into Cold War times where there was no access to information at all. But I think he's doomed. He can't do it in this age of technology. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but I read Adolf Hitler's speech in 1939, the speech that justified the invasion of Poland, that he tried to justify the invasion of Poland. And I was just curious. I didn't go into I didn't find this on Facebook or Twitter. I was just curious to see what did he do to justify the beginning of World War II. And the speech was eerily similar to everything Putin is saying right now. Eerily. He was saying things like, Danzig is a German city, and we have German citizens in Poland that are being persecuted by the Poles, who are barbaric. And we need to go in and protect our German citizens. That's our mission. We're protectors. This is a war of saving people and not invading. And you read Putin's speeches and interviews, and it's eerily the same. It's kind of frightening, right?
Yeah.
Where this can go.
So we have another question. This is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No. Do we have to move on from the last question?
No.
No.
If you've got
Did
something.
I answer it already? I'm
pertinent.
sorry. I have like child dementia.
No.
What?
Well, you've got eggs in front of
I'm
you,
just-
which is not a good thing to
Yeah.
be eating.
Well, no, it's ranch. It does look like eggs from a distance. So.
Yeah.
What you were talking about, Dad, reminded me. My friend recently, we were talking about the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And he sent me this Wikipedia page to a book. This is like the basics of war propaganda. And the person that wrote this book was writing a lot about the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're talking about with the way that Putin is justifying the war in Ukraine is very similar, actually, to a lot of the ways that the Iraq War was justified to the American citizenry. Like, we have been attacked. We have to defend ourselves. We have no other option.
The
or
second Iraq
the
War?
other person is evil or whatever it is. But there's like 10 basic, I think this is interesting. She identified these 10 basic tenets of like war propaganda. We don't want war. We're only defending ourselves or protecting someone else. Our adversary is solely responsible for the war. I'm just going to read them off. Our adversary's leader is inherently evil and resembles the devil. We're defending a noble cause, not ourselves individually. Where's the next one? The enemy is purposefully committing atrocities. If we are making mistakes, this happens without intention. If we do something evil, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
If they do something evil, it's intentional. That's the propaganda. The enemy makes use of illegal weapons. We suffer few losses. The enemy's losses are considerable. Intellectuals and artists support our cause. Our cause is sacred. And whoever casts doubt on our propaganda helps the enemy and is a traitor.
Yeah.
I think, they're very like simple things, I guess,
No,
to touch on. But I think that you will again and again hear people, dictators, anyone, to justify a war use very
It's
similar.
interesting again. If you look at Germany during the actual war, they believed in what was going on, but they didn't think that they had the best equipment. They were being told that they had the best equipment, but their equipment kept failing. It was only after the war, immediately afterwards, that the British and Americans and some Russians forced the towns near the big concentration camps to walk through the concentration camps. I'm talking about days and weeks afterwards. And the people who lived in these towns were amazed because they had carried on their lives as being, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, carrying on their lives, as accountants and architects and doctors and just carrying on their lives. They knew there was some camp down the road, but they didn't care what it was. In fact, there were tens of thousands of people being killed, not just Jews, incidentally. They sort of, well, nothing to do, and I don't, don't know anything about it.
It's not so bad now, but imagine, it's still horrible. Imagine what it would feel like right now if somebody took us to a detention center at the border, or a prison,
Yeah.
Leavenworth, and have you walk through.
Oh,
I would feel-
I have personally seen, traveling into Newark, seen how the immigration service treat people they don't feel comfortable with, and I have personally witnessed it, and there's a famous Taylor family story of my father arriving at Newark one day, and the officers there, they tend not to say very much. They just put their hand up and gesticulate to you to come forward. So father comes forward and stands in front of this officer, and the officer looks at him and puts his hand out for father's passport. So father didn't do anything. He just looked at the guy. He was determined. We used to call him Napoleon. He was determined that this officer was going to ask for my father's passport. And my father would say, certainly, officer, but he didn't. Eventually, the officer said, passport. And he said, my father goes, are we missing a certain word? And of course, the officer couldn't do anything about it. He didn't say, please, he said, gimme. But you can get away with that when you're reasonably wealthy and 60-something years old and British and don't care, But, it's... these people... Another friend of mine likened them to these are the people...
Or after?
No, he's still in Leavenworth, father is. No, I've witnessed it myself. I'm not putting this on. It's absolutely true. My wife, who's sitting next to me, had to sit waiting for me to come out of the office while they took some kid, maybe 13, 14, apart. And
He was just going to visit his father.
Yeah.
And they were putting him through terrible things.
Why don't you know your father's address? Well, I'm at school in Hong Kong. And I don't, they just moved
I'm just
there.
supposed to call him.
I got a call. And the officer, and I said to the guy who was talking to me, I said, is that really necessary? He said to me, you're done. Go. So let's move on. Now,
more doors than wheels.
Right. Now, this question specifically excludes Europeans
Okay.
and Brits. But it is an interesting one. I'm expecting some interesting stuff on it. Why are some people always late?
Why are you
I think Ivo should start.
Maybe some people are just busier than others.
Well, what I'm getting some things from the audience. Why are some people, and I have a very dear friend in England who cannot be on time. It is just physically impossible for her to be somewhere. If dinner is, if you're going out to dinner and it's at 7 o'clock, she starts getting ready at 7 o'clock. Why are... So the audience trying to... What I'm getting at is, do we care? Why do we care? I was brought up, I went to boarding school. It's like being in the army. Everything is arranged around the clock. Things happen at a certain time, and I get very unhappy, uncomfortable if I'm not where I'm supposed to be at the time I'm supposed to be there. But who said I'm supposed to be there is really where I'm going.
That is the question, Jeremy. There is a huge societal component to the question. Even in the way that the question is asked, why are some people always late? More telling of a question to me would be why do people care whether or not people are on time? And I don't think that it's a meaningless question. I just think that it's two competing sets of priorities from the people that you're talking to or about. I think that if you are one of the people that can never be on time, it's either because you are prioritizing the other thing that you're doing or you physically lack the ability. I think that if you're one of the people that care that somebody can't be on time, it's largely because of what you said. Like, we are a society that values productivity over everything. And because we're a society that values productivity over everything, we generally tend to lead ourselves by the clock. How much can you get done in the waking hours? Not saying either one is more healthy than the other, although I definitely have my opinions. But I think that it is ultimately boils down to, like, what is the physical mechanics of your situation, and where do you place your priorities?
I think it's interesting, how people have been brought up. There's another thing, that's...
No, that's part of it, for sure, yeah.
But as I move into my late 40s, I'm trying to...
That was like 40 years ago. What are you talking about?
Stop choking. As I'm moving on, I'm trying to sort of reevaluate some things, and I'm thinking, well, why does it matter if Fred is late? Does it matter? And sometimes it does matter, because let's say you're throwing a dinner party and you've cooked and everything else, and you've sort of gone to a lot of effort. Food's getting cold, and you're thinking, I know,
Well, in our society, if you are invited to an event where other people need to wait for everybody to be present before they can start doing something, then it is considered rude to be late. However, if you don't care and you just go ahead and start, and the heck with the late person, they can catch up if they want to, then the problem goes away, really. So,
In our society,
who knows?
There is a standard way to behave for everybody, right? Like a norm, and that norm is be on time. And in our society, if you don't follow a norm, people are annoyed.
Just try standing in the wrong way in an elevator for proof of that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's such a normal. Like, to me, it wouldn't make any more sense to face the back than the front. But if I face the back, people would be like, that fucking freak. Even though it's a totally harmless thing. And that's just what it is. There's a norm to be on time. Well, some people... Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Okay.
Back to the door. Can be backstabbed, too.
This is about as much as the people sitting around waiting being pissed off.
I think you need a microphone to tell them that I had a great point.
Join us.
Yeah.
We need
I
you.
think
audience member coming to harangue.
I'm sorry.
Kath had a great point, and I don't want that to go left unsaid.
yes, finally.
Because
years in.
she's right. It's as much about the people sitting around being pissed off about it and just not getting on with it. Just get on with it. Because the person that's late doesn't care that you got on with it.
Right.
In fact, they didn't even notice you got on with it.
Yeah.
Because that's not in their realm of possibility of
You're
being
right.
something that they would be annoyed about or upset about or anything. You just get on with it. My brother is, you think Eva's late, perpetually
It's
late.
not late. I have
We
been
start dinners, family dinners, 2 hours before they start. My brother's still late. Still late. So we decided years ago, just start eating.
Yeah.
We're more upset about it than he is. He could give two shits that he's late.
Yeah.
And that we started, and we're on dessert, or we're playing games. He doesn't care.
There
And so
are
I
things-
just think it's more about us.
Yeah.
That may be more prompt and be concerned about it.
You're too German.
Just get on with your life.
Yeah.
Just get on with your life. Because quite frankly, Evo could give two shits that he's late, and the dinner's over with. He doesn't care.
Yeah, there are
Kath,
things.
good point.
Yeah, there are things that I can't be late to because they can't start without me, like practice at soccer, because I'm the head coach and it's not. So I'm always on time for that. For the show, for Jeremy Taylor's show, he needed me there right at 9. I don't think I was ever.
No,
late.
come on.
You
I was
got
always
it.
like
I
1 minute, 1 minute before.
I needed you there at exactly 3 minutes past 9 when the advert break finished. No, sorry, the news would finish at 2 minutes past 9. Then it would be advert for two.
But I was never late. I
4
was-
minutes past 9. Yeah. There are still tire tracks outside. Skid
But I was
marks.
always on time.
Yeah.
And some very confused policemen still looking around the lot for you. Yeah.
But it's just interesting.
I find that when I try to be on time, I'm always late.
Right.
When I'm like,
Really?
I'll get there on time, I get there on time. But when I'm like, okay, I got to be there at 7. Let me start looking at the clock at 5:45. I show up at like 9.
I mean, time can wait.
Amen. No, I agree. I feel like if I'm planning on being on time, I will be late. If I can plan on being 30 minutes early, then I'll be 15 minutes early, and it all works out.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Old family saying. Better late in this life than early in the next. That's to be said to teenage drivers when teenagers are running out of the house to jump in the car because it's an old saying. Better late in this life than early in the next.
Calming your father.
Yeah, see, this is a saying based on the idea that it's the speed and not the carelessness. Yeah, bingo.
All right.
Bingo.
Let's move on to something else.
He hasn't quite.
I'm sorry. I was ignoring
no, I
you
had
again, and I thought this was just sort of part of the shtick that we have.
Well, I mean, I think it's like I would take I kind of like for people on time. So let's say if there is an appointment, I like when people be there on time, but at the same time I don't dislike when they're not on. They're too late.
easy
Like,
on
but
it. Okay.
I just say I take as it's a gift. Like I'm myself. I don't know what to make me because Brazilians there like have a reputation that to be the latest people. They always, if the party starts like they're gonna be 2 hours later. So it's almost like a charm. And they always gotta be late. So
Well, my son-in-law
if you're
is
gonna
Peruvian,
host a
he's
party,
the same.
you
Yeah.
can literally tell people, say, okay, guys, show up at 8. You cannot like just open the doors at 10. You know that's when they're gonna start showing up. But I feel upset that they put this as like I don't know. Somehow I put myself on time. I don't know what it is.
I genuinely feel like there are things that like you have to be on time for, and there
Yeah.
are things that like otherwise
I
doesn't
agree.
matter. Like, and usually like the things that you have to be on time for are sheerly based on the amount of inconvenience that it causes. Like Evo was talking about the soccer practice.
Right,
If
right.
it can't start without you, then yeah, you got to be on
gotta be
time
there.
for that. Anything else is like debatable at best. Like
Right.
if somebody's angry because like hell, I don't know, because I don't know, I'm like if I show up to the movie like
Movie can
15
be.
yeah, I'm like it's not like disrespectful to you because I'm late because I don't want to sit through the first 10 minutes
Well,
of
but
the-
if you're holding your tickets outside.
Okay,
What about
so, yes.
first date?
first date you want to make a good impression. You don't want to do anything dumb or stupid. So
How about
yeah,
the people whose knees you have to climb over to get to your seat?
screw those people.
Kind of rude.
Yeah, and that's I hate to bother to be like interference if it's like a
Yeah.
common event, like to show late
But then
to say
again, no theaters
excuse
are that
me
busy
and keep.
anymore.
Right,
So, yeah.
right, yeah.
The only thing the thing you're saying about the party, the only thing about the parties is that when I'm hosting a party and people are late, I'm always in my head like nobody's gonna be there. So like the whole like time you're waiting for everybody who you've invited to the party who's
Just
all late.
Give your dad a call. He and I will
But-
hop in the
but,
car.
Alena,
We'll
you're-
go
We
to
were
the
like,
party.
oh, I like did all of this and no one's showing up, and then everybody shows up like 2 hours later.
One of the things that we used to have you on the show about was you doing stand-up comedy. And there is a rule I've learned in my years of going to watch stand-up comedians is that one, you never, ever, ever walk in after they've started. And you never, ever walk out before they've finished, because they will bring your life to an end in front of 500 or 1,000 people.
Oh, that's a weak comic that does that.
Oh, no,
Seinfeld
come
or
on.
something.
Oh, but a funny one.
Yeah, but it's somebody who's too. They're not focused on their material. They're focused on with the crowds annoying them.
All right, let's move on. So, I'm thinking that maybe it's time to. The people of Ukraine simply did not believe that Putin would send troops in, that their lives would be upside down. One day, it's life as normal in a cosmopolitan Western style city, and now they're fighting or they're refugees. So here in the US, there are things that we maybe ought to think about. Putin said, stay out of this or else. And yes, he might, because he just did. So here we go. Putin nukes Ramstein airbase. Do we press the nuclear button? Putin moves on Poland and Finland. Push the button. Putin nukes a leading European city, London, Paris. Now do we press the end button? How about Washington? And remember, he said, stay out or you will get the biggest response the world has ever seen. He says, I told you, America, stay out of this conflict. What, as ordinary people in a bar, naked, I grant you, but in the bar, what do you think your president should do? Kathleen.
Right.
It's a serious question. We need to be
Right.
thinking.
Yes, we do need to think about
The people
it.
in those bars in Kyiv and other places, they were out having dinner the night before.
I think they need to be so prepared that if they see signs of nuclear activity and planes taking off, they get their own planes in the air, shoot them down, or be ready to retaliate. At that sign, they need close observation of everything that's going on. That's all I can say. I don't know what else to recommend.
Fernando. No, you got to answer the question.
No, you can go later.
Fernando's whispering.
I think Alena want to answer this
Oh,
before
right,
me.
Alena.
No, you can answer before. Oh, you want me to? Okay.
Okay, as one of our younger
now I'm
brethren.
confused.
Yes.
There's no.
There is no answer.
There's
There
no
is no-
winning. There is no
Okay.
winning strategy.
Yeah.
There is no winning strategy. in Ukraine. Yeah. There is. So 1983, I was in Bulgaria during the Cold War, and they broadcast a movie on television all over the world. That was made in America. An American movie was broadcast during the Cold War across the Iron Curtain, and the movie was called The Day After, and it took place in Lawrence, Kansas.
Where we're broadcasting this podcast.
Yeah, where we're broadcasting
My
from
cousin's
now.
arm is in that movie.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah. Out the
And his truck.
pickup truck window.
Anyway,
Wow.
yes. So,
But a lot of people that live here actually were participated in the shooting of the movie, and a part of it took place in Allen Fieldhouse. You know, Alvin's IGA was in it. Now it's Merck Food Store. A lot of places, and the message of the movie was clear that there is no winner in this. If this happens, so the reason they set it up here is because Lawrence is a peaceful Midwestern city that appears to be so far removed from any kind of front line. It's just a small university town, very pastoral, very peaceful. You don't look at Lawrence and think, oh my God, war. But the truth is, you know, there are silos around us with our strategic long-range missiles placed in those silos. And there was a conflict in the movie that was triggered by something ridiculous, but they targeted those silos and our nuclear arsenal here, and it was a thermonuclear holocaust. And the message was, let's avoid this together. let's not do this because everything will die. The entire world will be gone. And it was petrifying, and I feel it served a great purpose, and that's the reason our communist government decided to broadcast the movie. They realized it's an incredibly important message. I remember, again, I was in the army like 1984, and we had to do like 6 on a horizontal bar. It was part of our training. Every soldier had to do these 6 in a row flips over the bar. So you pull up, it's a pull up, and then you tighten your core and you flip on top of the bar. And it's complicated because the mechanics of this are complicated. You have to be strong. You have to have strong arms and strong core. And there was this one guy who couldn't do it. His name was Pamporov. To this day, I can't forget it. He couldn't do it. He was a heavy-set guy. He wasn't, athletic. And he would just like hang on the horizontal bar and couldn't even make a pull-up. And our sergeant, our officer were screaming at him all the time and insulting him, like, what kind of soldier you are? How are you going to fight? What kind of army is this with a soldier like you? And at some point, he was very intelligent. He dropped from the horizontal bar and turned at them and said, so what? When I see the nuclear mushroom, I'm going to look for a horizontal bar? But the truth is, if there is a war like that, it's over. I mean, we've already fucked up the earth. But this is going to be nuclear winter, and there's
so where I was going with this question is that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or wherever you're listening to this, what a lot of people are saying, well, why can't we give the Ukrainians aircraft? There are spare aircraft all over the place that the Ukrainians could use. There are some Warthogs that there's 6 of them that are sitting on an airfield right now, tank busters. And as far as I can see, Biden and a number of the other international leaders are saying no, because we don't know what Putin would do. And we don't want Poland nuked, or Finland, or wherever it is. There are a lot of people saying, oh, well, they should do something. And I'm just wondering whether or not people need to start thinking about the consequences. Interestingly, in the last 24 hours, the media has started using the N-word and actually looking at the consequences of, what happens if a president or a prime minister or a leader actually says, enough, right?
You can't do it. You can't strike back either.
That's what I mean.
You can't strike back. If something like this happens, there has to be other means, conventional weapons, or people on the ground, or whatever it is, or hiding shelters. But if you strike back, again, you're destroying the earth. Yeah. There is no borders. We made the borders up. There's one Earth, and it's very tiny. It's really small. You fly over the ocean and over the Europe and America on a plane, and you realize, oh my God, it's really a small place. And we made up you don't see the borders from the airplane. That's made up lines on the ground that we invented. They're on the maps. We are really living in one country, one small, round country. And it's these nuclear weapons, it was such a good thing disarming them, this concept of disarming them.
The interesting thing is that the silos you mentioned earlier, where you're looking at Kansas City being the major target, most of those silos are now empty and being used as very expensive private homes.
Yes, actually, our producer was in one of these homes. It's not far from Topeka, and it was an incredible project. I've been trying to get into this home for years to do a TV show about it. So the guy was a hippie in the 1970s, like real hippie, and he discovered this abandoned by the government silo, nuclear rocket silo that's enormous and has tunnels and command center, and it was flooded with water. And so he used his kayak. He lowered his kayak, and in his kayak he went through the tunnels, and it's like very, very intricate, isn't it, Neil? And he drained it. He bought it for very little money from the government because they didn't need it anymore. And it's underground, completely underground. It's hidden. And he turned it into the incredible home where our producer, Neil Rasmussen, went and made a TV show about it. and parts of it are done to look like a hippie, cool, really far out house. But he kept the command center where they were about to launch the rockets, and it's really a fascinating place. I wanted to make a show about it because I felt that it's an interesting dichotomy that this era of nuclear threat had given way to this hippie guy with, peace sign on his jacket and stuff, and he's turned it into a hippie house. For a long time, it was a bed and breakfast. And we tried to get there with Jamie, with my wife, to spend a night there, and it was booked for 2 years ahead of time. We couldn't get.
Is that Topeka?
It's in the country. It's in the country, southwest of Topeka.
Lewis.
So I'm gonna be the needle in your side. Like, why should we be thinking about this? Like, the folks in this room or the listener that we have. Like, what exactly does it accomplish for us to consider what the folks in the government are gonna do if Putin were to attack?
It's a hypothetical, like almost everything we talk about,
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is at least like phrased as a serious question that we should be considering. Like, we consider it. Like, so what?
I'm
So
thinking
that
more that we should be aware, actually aware
Why?
that this could happen.
We write to
What will that change?
we can
Yeah, the next door over. Yeah.
we can turn into activists, I guess, and make contact with our senator, with our Congress people, and urge them to think about consequences. But I mean, and use we are on social media more or less, but
It comes down to the president, whoever happens to be the president.
social media activism is not effective. But
This ultimately, I think that it is something that if you're not aware, you just simply haven't been paying attention, and if you're been being forced to be made aware of, it's just for fear mongering purposes. Like,
Look, we're all sentient human beings, and we need to, as human beings rather than just existing animals, we need to think about actions and consequences and be aware of this sort of stuff so that we can make intelligent and informed decisions just as to who we're going to freaking vote for.
yeah, but I don't think it.
We need to talk about and look at the reality of any situation.
Yeah, but that's completely outside. What you just described is outside the purview of what we were asked to be aware of by this question. The question was, where do we think America is justified in nuclear retaliation?
When should the president press the button?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's-
right. That's something that we can't answer.
Bingo.
Yeah, true. We can't come to an answer, but I think that was the purpose of putting it this way, so that we can realize we don't have an answer.
I see.
Or it's simply you do nothing. So the
Never
advisor
press the button.
asking the president, they nuke Ramstein, what do you do? Nothing. They nuke Paris, what do you do? Nothing.
Right.
They nuke Washington, I'm probably dead, but nothing.
Yeah. So.
Just hope it goes away.
Yeah, I
Sort of.
just again, like, the interesting thing is that we started talking about like the news reports using the nuclear word, and
Which they are doing.
right. But I've said it multiple times on this show that anytime I read a news story or look at a news report, like, my first question is, what is the narrative that I'm being sold? And the question is, like, in this particular case, is the nuclear option coming up right now specifically for ratings? Is there more of a chance of it happening this week than there was last week? Is there a reason that we're talking about the nuclear option? Is there a reason that I, as like an attorney that works with banks, should be considering like what to do in case Putin attacks Ramstein? And I don't know for sure that there is. Like, when you were talking before about the people that were going on about their day and like the fact that there was this horrible thing happening down the street, I kind of feel like that's more or less like the human existence. And I don't know that there's a functional purpose to worrying about the stuff that completely is outside our purview. I think that Evo is like more to the point of where I would consider this relevant is like if you think that there's something that's going to happen, if you think that there's a possibility that like there's going to be a nuclear strike or that Putin shouldn't even be in the Ukraine, like have you written your letter already to your representative to say, hey, we don't stand for this. We don't stand against this. I think that there's a proactive and a reactive way to think about it. And I think that trying to decide when it's okay to use nuclear force is reactive as opposed to like actually moving forward.
Well, it has to be said. Should we have Trump back?
Oh,
Anyway,
Nuclear stuff?
yeah.
Okay, I finally got like
Everything settled.
head thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like so. Obviously, there are no solutions for the problem that nuclear weapons just exist, and that whenever there are any kind of tensions, geopolitically, the fact that these weapons exist creates like an extra tension.
Yes.
There's nothing that I can do about that, or that really any of us can, since they've been invented. But I would think like on a basic level, if I'm thinking outward, I'm worried about if somebody's suffering and I know that they're suffering, or if groups of people are suffering and I know that they're suffering, it's very upsetting. And you want that to stop or find a way to help end that. That's like what the war is, and seeing all of this stuff from the war is. Right now, it seems like the only thing you can do really is donate money. So if you don't have money, there's not very much you can do other than just be like in distress, seeing other people's distress from afar. Eventually, maybe you'll be able to volunteer for different organizations, but hopefully it doesn't get to the point that there are organizations looking for volunteers to help with a crisis overseas. On a nuclear level, I think about it the same way if I'm thinking about it individually, I think about it the same way I think about death, just in general. So on an outward level, I don't want anyone to suffer death or pain in any way. On an individual level, I've always had it in my head since I was aware of death that I could walk across the street and die or live. I could, go out during the day and die or live. I could get nuked and die or live. And that is just how it is. I'm either going to die soon or die in 100 years. Maybe not 100, like 60 years, 70 years. And I don't want to suffer pain or harm. But if I die from a nuke or from getting hit by a car, it's the same thing to me. So that's it.
Now, we need to... I think that's very interesting. I'm just interested to know, because coming from a little island, as we are, England is a very small place, and like Evo, we had various training movies that we had to watch about what would happen if, and I can remember sitting in lecture theatres watching these things.
It was petrifying.
Yeah, because there wasn't anything you could actually do about it.
They were telling us to look for the mushroom cloud and
turn around.
And turn away from it on the ground. And we're like, well, we're going to fly with our head forward.
Did you guys have to do the line up under your desk?
Duck and
Under the
cover.
desk,
Yeah.
And now the
least helpful
advice
thing you could do.
The advice from earthquake experts is if you're in a classroom, you do not hide underneath the table, you hide beside the table. Apparently, school children who hide underneath their tables get crushed to death.
Oh my God.
But there comes a point where all the tables stop whatever it is coming down. So you may not have a lot of space, but you might have 10 or 12 inches.
Oh.
And so it's just a thought. So moving aside from, I know, in fact, that Putin has not got influence over Susan.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Nobody does.
No, right.
She has influence over that fucker.
Yeah, and I was wondering if you could just let us know if we've got sponsors this year.
I did get
this
something.
week.
Let me see here.
Because
How was it delivered?
It was it was pigeons this time.
Pigeons.
Not a
Yeah.
centurion.
So this
Sick
looks-
pigeons.
I'm
This
just
looks
Not the Roman
waiting for
centurion.
somebody to shoot an arrow to you with a message wrapped around it.
this
Maybe
looks
next time.
biblical,
Oh.
Evo.
Yeah. You know, parts of this were pigeons, and the rest of it was
Pigeon
found
shit.
in a bottle
Okay.
in the Pacific Ocean. Message in a fucking bottle. Let's see what she says. Okay. Oh, well, that's another first. Another first. Apparently, we might be sponsored tonight, or we might not be sponsored tonight. For the first time in the entire podcasting medium history, we will find out if we have a sponsor during the podcast. This is really bizarre, really strange, really unexpected. So why? Well, for some inexplicable reason, Susan from marketing has not solicited a company or a business or an app at least, but some weird family.
Oh no.
Yeah, you've heard that right. A fucking family. We're sponsored by a family for some bizarre reason. They're called the Idiom family. Marketing has finally completely lost its mind. Plus, on top of it, the Idioms, the family of Idioms, have decided to get together via Zoom and decide whether to sponsor us or not on a Zoom meeting together. And since our dial-up connection is extremely slow, there's a 2-month delay. So we can jump in the Zoom meeting right now. Believe it or not, we will be listening on a Zoom meeting that has happened 2 months ago. At the end, we'll find out if we have a sponsor or not. So this, this doesn't make much sense. I mean, it's a temporal paradox, if you think about it. Organizer of the meeting is the patriarch of the family, somebody named John Doe.
John Doe.
So here we go, and of course, since it's a Zoom meeting, we have to do our dial-up. We have to get connected.
We are all in a good time. Wow.
And here's John Doe. Okay. John Doe. Okay, all right. Man, he sounds like a Denzel meme or something. Okay, all right. Hello, family. Hey, it's so nice to see you guys. I mean, Zoom or no, it's fantastic to have the entire Idiom family together. I know you haven't seen me for quite a while, but as you know, the FBI is constantly looking for me. And my wife, Jane Doe.
Oh God.
We try to stay out of sight because I'm afraid if they find us, we will most likely be dead and without identification. Anyways, family, today we meet to decide whether to endorse this podcast. I personally believe it will be good for me and Jane because it will help us remain anonymous. Family members of the Idiom family, feel free to jump in, guys. This will be decided by all of you. My vote is yes. We shall sponsor the podcast. I agree, but nobody knows anything about these clowns. I think we must use word of mouth marketing. We must go door to fucking door and tell hundreds of thousands of people in their faces about this podcast. Get right in everybody's face and scream, Wednesday Night Undressed is the best. Wednesday Night Undressed is the best. I'll go around the world if I have to go. Okay, all right now. Thank you. That's a very good suggestion, Grandma Typhoid Mary. Duly noted. But why don't we ask our aunt? She knows them better than anyone, since she works for them. What say you, Aunt Lazy Susan?
Oh, dear.
I hate these cock-gobbling nitwits. They make me get out of my house. I've been trying to drain that fecal swamp they call a marketing department for 7 years now. I say fuck him. My vote is no. And why should we be asking everyone in the family? I mean, I haven't seen that uncle here for years and now he gets to vote? What are you talking about, Lazy Susan? I saw you last night. Shame on you. Okay, all right. Okay, cool it, Uncle Peeping Tom. Don't get mad, Uncle Peeping Tom. We all know you're keeping an eye on everyone. What is your vote? I vote no sponsorship. That's a podcast. I can't watch it. Why can't we sponsor something useful like X-ray binoculars or transparent shower curtains? Isn't that right, nephew? Yeah. You know, I say let's sponsor them and give them a big hug, and then when they go to sleep, kill them with a rusty cleaver. Okay, all right. Now take it easy, nephew Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, God.
There's no need to get violent, right, Grandpa? Yeah. Wait a second, let me chime in. I hate those fuckers too. They're all losers. The only one that's good is that British guy. What was his name? His name is Jeremy Taylor. Thank you, grandson. Johnny on the spot. That's right, that British chap is a splendid young fella. Love his introductions. The rest of the podcasts are trash. I say we take the entire podcast and give it to the Brit. All right, okay. Okay, Grandpa Benedict Arnold, you like the Brit? It makes sense. Yes, of course it makes sense. I do, and so does great-great-grandpa Judas. All right. All right, we get it. Now, what does my sister think? What is your vote, Karen?
Oh, no.
Oh my God. This podcast sucks hairy sphincters. I need a refund for burning all of my 5 brain cells and listening to these mask-wearing, computer-chipped liberal morons talk about wheels and doors. Where's the manager, motherfuckers? All right. Now let's relax, Karen. There's no refunds here. These poor bastards have no money left. And Lazy Susan made sure of that. Oh, look, someone new is joining the Zoom call. Hello! How's it going, guys? How are the idioms doing? Haven't seen you guys forever. What is this meeting about? All right, okay. It's nice to see cousin Johnny come lately.
Oh, dear.
We're voting on whether to sponsor this shit show. The big question is, where are we going to get the sponsorship money from? I have an idea. Why don't we pay them in beer? All right, okay. That's not the worst idea, cousin Johnny Sixpack. It just seems like you have the same solution for every problem. Wait. Can I say something? If we don't want to pay in beer, we can at least put a little something extra in their drinks, huh?
God.
All right. Calm down there, brother Mickey.
Oh, dear. Oh.
We're not slipping anything in anyone's drink, okay?
Oh, dear.
Listen, guys. Listen, there is a better solution. we can get all the money from Uncle Peter and then pay Uncle Paul. Then he can sponsor the podcast and nobody will be losing anything. All right, okay, all right. That makes sense, cousin, even Steven.
Not long to go, Yao.
No. We must not sponsor shit. Fuck Wednesday Night Undress. We need to take all the money from these liberal middle-class holes and give it to the military. All right, okay. I get it, Uncle Sam. That's what you're doing. That's okay. Now, let's have somebody else. Who's voting next? Ow! I am voting next. And it's a hard no! This fucking podcast is so bad it's making my legs cramp. All right, okay. It's a hard no for cousin Charlie Horse.
Oh no! Oh! I did not see that coming.
Who hasn't voted yet? I haven't voted yet, but I'm really worried. If we sponsor those losers, we might get called woke libs. But if we don't, we might get canceled by the woke libs. Oh no, it's a lose-lose situation. What do we do? All right, okay. Niece Nervous Nelly is undecided then.
Nervous Nelly. All right.
How are you, sir? What is your vote here? What is my vote? My vote is, I hate those fucks. I can't even look at them. And I work here in this godforsaken bar. I hate them. And I hate Murphs. I have the worst job in this bar, and yet these podcast fuckers, every time they have a problem with the kitchen, they come to me. Always come and dump it on me. I've hit it. All right, okay, you're right. You do have the worst job anywhere, Uncle John.
Oh.
Both number one worst job and number two worst job. But at least people always come running to you. We're thankful for your hard work. Thank you.
Good of him to be with us.
That's our podcast going down the
Hi there, I haven't voted. I'll wait for all the other votes to come in, and I'll just vote opposite to everyone else. All right. That's just weird, but as you wish, and contrary, Mary. Now all the votes are in. Thank you, EDM family. It's time to tabulate. And wow, looky here. We have 7 votes yes, and 6 votes no. So guess what? We're going to endorse Wednesday Night Undressed. All that remains is for the contract to be signed, since Aunt Lazy Susan works for the podcast. Maybe she should do the honors. Is that okay with Aunt Lazy Susan? Fuck no! I ain't signing this rag. I'll sign it. Give me the contract. All right, okay then, all right. It's decided then. Grandpa John Hancock will sign it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you got yourself a sponsor. Oh my
Well,
God.
we thank our sponsors, the Idiom family, again. Yes, that's very cool. I want to thank the team for tonight: Kathleen, Fernando, Alena, Lewis, Jeremy, and of course Ivo. And I want you to put your hands together. It's been another amazing Wednesday Night Undressed, and of course, not to forget our technical man, our producer, with his fingers on his knobs, Neil Rasmussen, as always. And Uncle Peeping Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, another Wednesday Night Undressed.